What the last digit of your birth year means will shock you. Buddhist wisdom. Let me ask you something that might sound simple, but it's going to flip your thinking upside down. What if the last digit of your birth year isn't just a number, but a spiritual blueprint? That's right. What if that one digit carries ancient energy rooted in Buddhist wisdom that reveals your karmic lessons, your divine potential, and your soul's assignment on this earth? See, most people walk through life blind to the signs etched into their very existence, but not you, not today. Because once you understand what that number truly means, you won't just live differently. You'll manifest, move, and multiply your purpose with unstoppable power. So if you're ready to break free from the ordinary and tap into the extraordinary, stay locked in, because what I'm about to reveal will absolutely shock you. The power of zero. The digit of spiritual completion and infinite potential. Let's begin with the number that so many people overlook, the number zero. It might look like nothing, a placeholder, a void. But in Buddhist wisdom, zero is not emptiness in the Western sense. It is the womb of creation, the purest state of potential. If the last digit of your birth year is zero, that means you were born under the energy of infinite possibility. This is not coincidence. It is spiritual precision. You see, zero in Buddhist philosophy represents niyata, often translated as emptiness, but not in a negative sense. It's the understanding that everything is connected, nothing exists independently, and therefore all things are fluid, ever-changing, and full of creative energy. If your number is zero, you were born with the karmic calling to transcend limitations. You are not here to be defined by what exists. You are here to create what does not yet exist. You're the visionary, the space maker, the pioneer. The challenge for you is learning to be comfortable in the unknown, to operate in the unseen, to trust in what others can't see, because your power lies not in certainty, but in possibility. People with zero as their final digit often feel like outsiders early in life. You may have sensed you didn't quite fit the mold, didn't follow the crowd, didn't feel drawn to the same paths others took. That's not by accident. That's by design. You weren't made to fit into systems. You were made to transcend them. You might have questioned your worth or your direction, but understand this. You were born into the frequency of the void because you are meant to fill it with meaning. You are the type of person who thrives in transformation. You're not just here to follow traditions. You're here to evolve them. That's why Buddhist wisdom sees zero not as nothing, but as limitless potential. It's the soil before the seed, the breath before the word, the silence before the song. You, my friend, are the silence that carries power. That power can become anything you choose, but here's the shadow side. The zero born often struggle with identity because they don't cling to forms. You might bounce between careers, relationships, ideas, because deep down you know nothing is permanent, and that awareness can either set you free or leave you drifting. This is where your spiritual work begins. You must anchor your energy, not in titles or roles, but in your essence. You need a strong internal compass, because the world will try to define you by things you've already outgrown. Don't shrink yourself into categories. Don't let fear make you chase structure when your gift is the freedom to build your own. When you align with your inner stillness, your capacity to envision and manifest becomes unstoppable. In business or leadership, zero energy shows up as radical innovation. You're not a manager, you're a movement maker. You're not about maintenance, you're about elevation. You see gaps others ignore and turn them into opportunity. But to truly step into your power, you must learn to lead from presence, not from pressure. You must trust the unseen forces, lean into your intuition, and allow things to unfold even when logic says otherwise. Remember, the seed doesn't rush the tree. You're here to channel divine timing, not force artificial outcomes. That's where the power of Buddhist mindfulness comes in, learning to sit with what is, without trying to control what isn't. This is your superpower, presence that creates space for miracles. And let's talk about relationships. People with zero energy don't do surface level. You crave soul level connection, but here's the rub. Because your energy is fluid and ever evolving, others might struggle to keep up. Some may try to box you in, freeze you in time, expect you to always be the same. That's where friction starts. You are not here to stay still. You are here to grow, evolve, and transform. So choose people who grow with you. Align with those who understand that love isn't about ownership, it's about witnessing evolution. You're here to teach others that real love is not clinging, it's allowing. In your spiritual journey, zero means you've likely walked many paths, maybe even in past lives. You've touched many truths, seen beyond the veil, and carry a wisdom that's older than your age. But your challenge is not gathering more knowledge, it's trusting what you already know. This is the call of the zero soul, to remember, not just to learn, to embody, not just to study. You are a bridge between the seen and the unseen. Between silence and sound, between being and becoming, your life is not just a timeline, it's a testimony. Every moment you live in alignment with your true self, you ripple that truth out into the world. And here's the most shocking truth of all. Zero is the ending and the beginning. It's the alpha and the omega. If you were born with zero, your life is about cycles, not straight lines. You will rise, fall, evolve, and rise again. But every time you rise higher, because your soul is learning how to die to the old and resurrect the new. That is your divine rhythm. That is your sacred contract. And when you finally embrace it, you stop fearing change and start creating it. So if your birth year ends in zero, you're not just another number in the system. You are the invisible force that rewrites the system. You are the breath before the breakthrough, the silence before the storm, the void that births vision. And once you embrace that truth, the world will no longer shape you. You will shape the world, the power of one, the digit of divine initiation and unstoppable self. Mastery. Now let's shift gears and step into the fierce, fiery energy of the number one, the digit that starts it all. If the last digit of your birth year is one, you didn't come here to follow footsteps. You came here to make them. In Buddhist wisdom, one represents the spark of individuality, the original thought, the undivided truth. It is the energy of initiation, of striking the first blow, of declaring I am. This is the soul of the warrior, monk, the enlightened rebel, the one who walks alone not because they're lost, but because they were sent ahead. You were born under the vibration of leadership, and I don't mean management, I mean movement. You're not here to wait for permission, you're here to set things in motion. But here's the truth that will shock most people. The path of the one isn't easy, because being first often means being misunderstood. From a spiritual perspective, one energy is the embodiment of conscious creation. You have a powerful mind, and when aligned, your thoughts become commands to the universe. But this is a double-edged sword. You either use that power to build your reality or to sabotage it, and the difference, discipline. You see, the number one is pure fire. It can light a torch that leads nations, or it can burn everything down in a moment of ego. Your spiritual mission is to master your will, not by suppressing it, but by aligning it with your highest self. This is why many people born under the one vibration experience early trials, because fire must be forged. You had to learn how to carry your flame without burning out or burning others. You had to understand that being the one doesn't mean doing it all alone. It means awakening the one within everyone you touch. You have a natural ability to lead, to inspire, to go first, and that means life will often not come with a blueprint. That frustrates most people, but not you. You thrive in the unknown. You shine when the pressure is on. The challenge, you often feel like no one sees how heavy that crown really is. Everyone celebrates your wins, but they don't see the silence, the self-doubt, the moments you question, why me? And I'll tell you why, because your soul chose to go first. Not for glory, not for applause, but because your breakthrough becomes someone else's blueprint. You carry the torch through the dark, not just for yourself, but for every soul who's still too scared to light their own. In Buddhist philosophy, this energy of one reflects the principle of oneness, not just individual power, but universal unity. That's the paradox of the one soul. While you are deeply independent, your true power is in recognizing that your identity is not separate from the divine. It is an expression of it. That means you're not just creating your reality, you're mirroring the universe's infinite intelligence. When you stop fighting for control and start flowing with higher guidance, your leadership becomes limitless. This is when you stop forcing results and start attracting them through resonance. In business or mission-driven work, the energy of one is electric. You're the visionary, the brand, the voice. You're the one who starts the movement before it trends. But you must stay grounded in purpose, or ego will sneak in. You see, the shadow of the one digit is pride, believing you're the source when really you're the channel. When your energy is aligned, you channel divine strategy, you move with confidence and clarity, you don't react, you respond, you don't follow the market, you shape it. But when you fall out of alignment, you slip into overworking, isolation, and control. That's your warning sign. When you feel like you have to do everything yourself, it means you've disconnected from source. Reconnect, recharge, recenter. The world doesn't need you burned out. It needs you on fire with purpose. In relationships, those with the one digit often feel misunderstood. Why? Because your drive can come off as intensity and your independence can feel like emotional distance. You love deeply, but you show love through action, not always words. And here's the secret. You crave a partner who respects your power, but also reminds you to rest in your being. You don't need someone to fix you. You need someone who holds space for the fire without trying to put it out. When you find that balance, your love becomes a sacred force, intense, creative, and transformative. Spiritually, you are here to learn the art of self-mastery. That means mastering your thoughts, your emotions, your habits, and most of all, your beliefs. Because you don't live by default, you live by design. Every decision, every moment, every breath is a declaration of who you are becoming. And when you align your will with divine truth, nothing can stop you. That's the raw power of the one energy. It's not about controlling the world, it's about mastering the self so deeply that the world aligns in response. That's the awakened leader. That's the monk with the sword. That's you. So if your birth year ends in one, you didn't just show up here to play it safe. You came to lead, to initiate, and to ignite. You are the one who says yes when others hesitate. You are the one who walks through the fire so others know they can too. You are not a follower of fate. You are a forger of destiny. And when you step into that truth fully and fearlessly, you don't just change your life. You transform the lives of everyone you touch. The power of two. The digit of sacred balance, intuitive wisdom, and divine partnership. If the last digit of your birth year is 2, let me tell you something the world may have never said loud enough. You were born under the vibration of sacred balance. You are not weak, soft, or indecisive. You are the soul alchemist, the divine diplomat, the intuitive architect who sees what others are too loud to hear. While others are busy pushing, competing, and dominating, you move in silence, and in that silence is the wisdom of 10 lifetimes. In Buddhist philosophy, the number 2 is the principle of duality transformed into unity. It is yin and yang in perfect conversation. It is not a number of weakness, but of deep inner power. The two-born individual carries the mission of harmony, connection, and relational depth. You didn't come here to overpower. You came here to align. You are the one who listens between the words, who senses energy before action, who feels where the truth really lies. Here's what's shocking. In a world that glorifies hustle and loudness, your power is often underestimated until you shift the entire room with one insight. That's your gift. You were born with heightened sensitivity, not as a burden, but as a supernatural radar. You can read emotional undercurrents like a mystic reads sutras. You're not just emotional, you're emotionally intelligent, but here's the challenge. The same sensitivity that makes you brilliant can also make you overwhelmed, anxious, or avoidant. The two vibration must learn to guard its energy like gold. You can't afford to absorb the chaos of others and call it compassion. You are here to reflect, not to react, to heal, not to hold, to guide, not to carry. That's where your spiritual path begins, learning that your softness is not for everyone to touch. You are sacred, not public property. You have a natural gift for collaboration, for connection, for deep intimacy. While the number one starts the mission, you build the bridge that carries it. You are the spiritual engineer behind the vision. Without you, movements collapse under ego. Without you, ideas stay disconnected. You are the glue that holds the divine plan together. That means your karma often shows up in relationships because your growth happens through mirrors. Every person you meet becomes a reflection, a lesson, a test. But listen carefully, you are not here to lose yourself in others. You are here to find yourself through conscious partnership. That's the game. Changing shift. You don't complete anyone, you meet them whole. You don't fix broken energy, you walk beside it, and if it rises with you, it's meant to stay. In Buddhist terms, two energy is also linked to compassion and right speech, two pillars of the Eightfold Path. You were born to speak peace, not fake peace, not people. Pleasing peace, but powerful peace, the kind that ends cycles of violence and self-doubt. You have the ability to diffuse tension, to unite tribes, to see all sides without losing your center. That's rare, that's sacred, but to fully step into that, you must stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. Too many born people silence themselves because they were taught that keeping the peace means avoiding conflict. Wrong. True peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of truth spoken with grace. You must learn to speak your truth with conviction, even if your voice shakes, even if it disrupts the false calm, even if it costs you shallow approval. That's how the two-soul evolves, from peacekeeper to peace creator. In your purpose-driven path, you shine in any space that requires depth, empathy, and relational genius. Coaching, healing, mediation, creative collaboration. These are not just jobs for you, they are vessels for your dharma. You don't want to just win, you want to connect. You're not just building wealth, you're building legacy through relationships. But beware of burnout through overgiving. You must remember, empty vessels cannot pour love. You must be your own best friend, your own sacred space, your own safe home. This is not selfish, it's spiritual strategy. Because when you are full, you don't just give, you overflow. That's when you become unstoppable. That's when your presence alone heals rooms you never even spoke in. Let's talk about love. Oh yes, the two energy craves soul-level union. Surface won't do. Performance won't last. You want authenticity, intimacy, depth. You want to be seen, not just physically, but energetically. And here's your lesson. You must see yourself first. Don't wait for a partner to validate your beauty, your power, or your worth. When you anchor that within yourself, you stop attracting takers and start magnetizing mirrors. Healthy, conscious love is your birthright, but only when you stop auditioning for roles in someone else's drama. Your energy is sacred. Let them rise to meet you or let them go. Spiritually, the number 2 holds the power of devotion, not just to people, but to a practice, a truth, a higher calling. You are the type who thrives with ritual, who finds healing in stillness, who hears messages in the wind, in the breath, in the silence between prayers. You were born to serve something bigger, not in servitude, but in sacred responsibility. Your intuition is a divine gift. When others are overthinking, you're feeling the answer. Trust that. The world doesn't need more logic right now. It needs soul-guided action, and that, beloved, is your role, the intuitive leader, the spiritual diplomat, the one who builds the bridge between the visible and the invisible. So if your birth year ends in 2, don't let this noisy world trick you into thinking your softness is weakness. It is your superpower. Your empathy is not a liability. It's divine technology. Your ability to connect is not just personal, it's prophetic. You are the harmony in the chaos, the balance in the storm, the whisper of truth in a shouting world. You were born not just to love, but to elevate love into healing, truth, and divine expression. That is the power of the 2. That is your mission. That is your legacy in motion, the power of 3. The digit of creative expression, sacred joy, and divine voice. If your birth year ends in 3, then you were born under the vibration of divine communication and sacred expression. Let's get one thing straight right away. You are not here to be silent, still, or stuck. You are here to speak, to sing, to create, to awaken joy in a world that forgot how to feel it. The number 3 in Buddhist and spiritual traditions represents the sacred triad: body, mind, and spirit, thought, word, and deed, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. You embody that trinity. You are a bridge between the spiritual and the physical through expression. While others build walls of logic, you paint doorways of possibility. You are the vibration of the voice, whether that voice comes through art, speech, movement, or presence. You are the soul who doesn't just speak words, you speak frequencies. Your presence shifts energy. Your joy is medicine, but let's go deeper. People born under the 3 vibration are often misunderstood early in life. Why? Because your energy is too big, too bold, too colorful for a world obsessed with grayscale conformity. You probably heard things like, "You talk too much," "You're too dramatic," "Calm down," or "Be more realistic." But those words weren't critiques, they were confessions. Confessions from people who couldn't handle the brightness of your being. You weren't born to dim, you were born to illuminate, and your lesson is this: don't shrink your light just because others forgot how to see. In Buddhist wisdom, the path of 3 is the path of right speech, but not just avoiding lies. It's about speaking life, speaking truth, speaking healing. Every time you express authentically, you realign the energy of the space you're in. That's power, that's responsibility, and that's your dharma. Now let's talk about the real engine behind the 3 energy: creativity. Creativity is not a hobby for you. It's your language with the divine. Whether you're writing, dancing, designing, speaking, acting, singing, solving problems, or even just daydreaming, you are channeling higher frequencies through expression. You don't make art, you release it. You don't try to be inspiring, you just are when you're being real. But here's the catch: if you suppress that creativity, it turns toxic. 3s who ignore their expressive nature often spiral into anxiety, depression, or self-doubt. Why? Because you're designed to flow, not to freeze. Your soul gets sick in silence. Your joy becomes your medicine only when you share it. In leadership or business, you shine through storytelling. You don't just lead with strategy, you lead with soul. Your ideas stick because you wrap them in emotion, vision, and meaning. You're the face of the movement, the message, and the mission. You naturally draw attention, and with that comes both opportunity and temptation. Because the shadow of the 3 is performance over authenticity. If you're not grounded, you'll start performing happiness instead of living it. You'll start curating your life for applause instead of alignment. That's when the joy dries up. That's when the anxiety creeps in. The solution: come back to the core. Reconnect with the purpose behind your voice. You weren't born to entertain, you were born to enlighten through emotion. When your message comes from soul, not ego, it doesn't just reach minds, it awakens hearts. Let's go deeper. The number 3 in Buddhist symbolism also reflects karma through speech. What you say matters. Your words either create or destroy. You don't get the luxury of casual negativity or careless sarcasm because your words land. You were given a loud spiritual microphone, and the universe expects you to bless with it. That's why gossip drains you. That's why fake small talk irritates your soul. You're wired for truth, for beauty, for meaningful dialogue that heals, empowers, and uplifts. Even your silence speaks when it's intentional. So honor that gift, speak with awareness, create with reverence, because your words are not just sound, they are spells, and when you speak from alignment, your voice doesn't just echo, it transforms. Now let's explore love, because threes love deeply. You bring light, fun, laughter, spontaneity. You make relationships feel alive. You want to connect on a soul level, but you also want to play. You need someone who matches your mind and mirrors your joy. But here's the pattern many threes fall into: chasing excitement at the cost of depth. The thrill is beautiful, but it can't replace real intimacy. You must learn to sit in stillness as comfortably as you dance in celebration. You must find a partner who loves both your light and your shadows, who doesn't just hype your highlights, but holds space for your humanity. When you find that balance, your love becomes a masterpiece in motion, fiery, poetic, and sacred. Your spiritual growth depends on your willingness to channel joy as a practice, not just a feeling. This is what most people miss. Joy is not random, it's not childish, it's a discipline of the soul. In Buddhism, joy is one of the four immeasurables, a boundless quality of the awakened heart. You were born to bring that light to dark places, but you can't do it if you're faking it. So ask yourself, what fills me up without performance? Then do more of that. Protect your joy like it's gold, because it is. It's your compass, it's your currency, it's your calling card to the universe, and let's be honest, your life hasn't always been easy. Many threes go through early heartbreak, betrayal, rejection, or silencing. Why? Because your voice was always powerful, and powerful things get tested. You were given struggle not as punishment, but as refinement. So when you speak now, it's not just pretty words, it's truth rooted in resilience. You've lived through the fire and now you sing through the ash. That's why people feel safe around you. That's why your energy heals. You're not pretending, you're embodying. Your light is earned. So if your birth year ends in 3, don't run from your emotion. Don't apologize for your brightness. Don't minimize your joy to fit into a world that thrives on dullness. You are the vibration of vitality, the pulse of possibility, the message encoded in movement. You didn't come here to fit in, you came to wake people up. Your expression is sacred, your creativity is divine, and your joy, your real, honest, untamed joy, is a spiritual tool more powerful than most prayers. Use it, share it, protect it, because when you rise in your truth, the world doesn't just hear your voice, it remembers its own, the power of 4. The digit of sacred foundation, earth wisdom, and spiritual discipline. If your birth year ends in 4, listen closely, because your soul was not born by accident, and your number was not chosen at random. You carry the frequency of sacred structure, of divine order, of unshakable spiritual grounding. The world sees you and thinks stable, disciplined, reliable, and they're not wrong. But what they often miss is that beneath your steady exterior lies a mystic of mastery, a soul who incarnated to build legacies, and a spirit forged by ancient earth energy. In Buddhist wisdom, the number 4 connects to the 4 noble truths, the foundational pillars of awakening, and to the 4 directions, symbolizing wholeness, protection, and balance in the natural and spiritual world. You didn't come here to chase, you came here to construct. You are the architect of truth, the builder of sacred systems, the one who understands that without a strong foundation, even the most beautiful vision will collapse. You are the keeper of order in a chaotic world, and that makes you absolutely essential. From a young age, you may have felt the weight of responsibility resting on your shoulders. You were the one people leaned on, even when you didn't ask for that role. You were the one who had to hold it together when things were falling apart. That wasn't a punishment, it was preparation, because your soul signed a contract to be a stabilizer in this lifetime. You didn't come to drift, you came to anchor. And while others may rise quickly and fall just as fast, your journey is about slow, sacred elevation. You don't rise for applause, you rise to build something eternal, something that won't be shaken by trends, storms, or time. Whether that's a family, a business, a body of work, or a spiritual legacy, you build with intention. You're not flashy, you're formidable, because what you construct will outlive you. And that's exactly what you were born to do. But here's what most people never understand about those born under the 4 energy. Your path is not easy, it is refining. You are tested not with chaos, but with consistency. The universe will put you through seasons of silence, long stretches of no recognition, where it feels like everyone else is being rewarded and you're just grinding, building, serving. That's not punishment, that's your initiation. Because while the rest of the world is chasing shortcuts, you're building the path itself. You are the one laying down the stones others will walk on. You are the one who understands that discipline is a form of devotion. That mastery is born not in moments, but in momentum. That what is sacred must be tended to daily with reverence. That's the hidden power of the 4. It doesn't chase the spiritual high. It becomes the vessel for it. Spiritually, your life is an invitation to bring the sacred into the ordinary, to infuse daily routines with divine awareness, to find God in structure, in simplicity, in stewardship. In Buddhism, discipline is not about restriction, it's about freedom through focus. You are the soul who understands this on a deep cellular level. When others get lost in distraction, you create alignment through action. When others float through emotion, you anchor into intention. And that's why you become the rock, the root, the ritual. You bring heaven down to earth by making spirit practical. That's not boring, that's revolutionary. But don't mistake this for being without emotion. On the contrary, those born under the 4 vibration often carry deep wells of feeling. They just don't express it the way others do. You're not dramatic, you're devoted. You love through action, through showing up, through building stability. But here's your challenge. You must remember to receive as much as you give, because the same structure that protects you can become a prison if you're not careful. If you hold too tightly to control, if you never ask for help, if you never allow yourself to rest, you will burn out silently and still smile through it. That's not strength, that's self-abandonment. Your real power begins when you realize that the world doesn't rest solely on your shoulders, and that vulnerability is not weakness, it's wisdom. In relationships, you are the partner who stays when things get tough. The one who builds trust, shows up consistently, and honors commitments not out of obligation, but because your word is sacred. You don't love fast, you love forever, but that means you also carry heartbreak deeply. And many 4s experience betrayal early in life, not because they did something wrong, but because their loyalty was offered to someone who wasn't ready to hold it. These experiences don't mean you should close off. They mean your heart must be matched with equal grounding. You need someone who doesn't just excite you, but expands you through consistency. Someone who doesn't just say the right words, but does the right things again and again. Your love language isn't performance, it's presence. And when you find that, your love becomes a temple. In your career and purpose, you thrive when you are allowed to build over time. Entrepreneurship, leadership, spiritual guidance, education, craftsmanship, real estate, wellness. These are not just jobs for you. These are realms of impact because you don't just work. You construct purpose. You turn visions into blueprints, ideas into ecosystems. You see what others overlook, and you execute what others abandon. But beware, if you stay too long in environments that drain you, your soul will start to ache. You must work in spaces where your stability becomes an asset, not a crutch, where your discipline is celebrated, not exploited, where your loyalty is earned, not assumed, because when you're planted in the right place, you don't just grow. You thrive like an oak tree in sacred soil. Energetically, your body needs grounding rituals. Nature is not just a retreat for you, it is medicine. Walking barefoot on earth, practicing mindful movement, tending to your home, your space, your breath. These are not just chores, they are sacraments. You are deeply connected to earth energy, and if you ignore that connection, anxiety and restlessness take over. But when you honor it, when you align your external world with your internal integrity, you become unshakable. You don't just survive life's storms, you become the shelter for others within them. So if your birth year ends in 4, hear me clearly, you are the foundation this world desperately needs. You are the soul who understands that greatness isn't built in a moment. It's forged in the fire of consistency, of commitment, of conscious daily action. You are not flashy, but you are formidable. You are not loud, but you are lasting. You are not chasing fame. You are building something that will still be standing long after the noise has faded. Your energy is ancient. Your wisdom is grounded, and your legacy will be unshakable, not because of luck, but because of how you laid every brick of your life with sacred intention. That's the power of 4. That's your path. That's your purpose. And the world is more solid because you chose to walk it.